A very good morning. If you're just tuning in right now, welcome to the breakfast meeting. My name is Mebo Twegumiezake. We're usually motivated to wake up on a daily because we have dreams that we actually need to achieve. And one of the common motivational quotes when it comes to dreams is that a dream without ambition is like a car without gas. We are in Uganda, we don't use gas, so it's either petrol or diesel. But you know that if a car without petrol or diesel can't actually move, so what kind of dream would that be? Meaning you wouldn't be able to go anywhere. And speaking of these dreams, think of the over $15 billion of investment when it comes to the oil and mining sector. Right now, the oil and mining sector is in its development phase, and that is why we're talking about the money, the job opportunities and goods and services that have been reserved for specifically Ugandans and the Ugandan companies. Yeah, that's the conversation this early morning on the breakfast meeting. And of course, to first talk about this conversation, we're going to also find out the benefits that the oil development phase is actually going to spill when it comes to the agriculture sector. And with me this morning is Edward Gibson Nangono, that is the Financial Advisor, Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum Corporate Director, Absa Bank. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
And on this side, we have Margaret Asekenye, the Head of Agriculture, Absa Bank. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Well, now we understand that agriculture products, that is foods and beverages, are among the goods and services reserved for Ugandans in the oil and gas sector. And luckily, there's a facility that has been put in place to make sure that commercial agriculture and value addition is actually realized. But we want to first understand the link between oil and gas and agriculture. So let's start from there.
Okay, thank you, Moderator. Agriculture is a key contributor to the Ugandan economy. And given the fact that it contributes a significant portion to our GDP, the proceeds from oil and gas can actually be used to enhance the innovations and development in the agriculture sector. One of the key things that we're looking at is specifically speaking about the government support. And the government has come up to support the agriculture sector by putting up the agricultural credit facility scheme. So how does the oil and gas sector then come in to support the agriculture? By using the revenues from the oil and gas, government can actually enhance its contribution to the agriculture sector by increasing the amounts that are allocated to the ACF scheme. And in that way, financial institutions or participating financial institutions under the scheme can be able to access this money for onward lending to the farmers. And preferably, that can actually come at further subsidized rates as compared to what is happening right now. So for us, where we stand, oil and gas is a significant contribution in the agriculture sector. Thank you.
Okay, so as you help the farmers to be able to do this, that's where the agriculture credit facility comes in. If you could explore more on that.
Yeah, so the agriculture credit facility was set up by government in partnership with the commercial banks, UDB, micro deposit institutions and credit institutions referred to as participating financial institutions that have signed up for the scheme. This specific scheme was started off in October 2019 and through the government of Uganda. It was mainly set up to enhance the mechanization and development of medium and long-term farming. As of 2018, the MOU was further amended to eliminate or uplift the maximum access limit. So as we speak now, we can be able to do large-scale facilities or large-scale projects under the ACF scheme, provided we justify the economic impact. Secondly, they did introduce a block allocation to the small-scale holder farmers. So, and that then enhances the growth of our small-scale holder farmers as well. In terms of issuance, the loans are disbursed through participating financial institutions, and this and the scheme specifically is being governed by Bank of Uganda, that is the administrators. who do this as per the MOU guidelines on behalf of government. That's basically it about the scheme.
Okay, so speaking of the scheme, you talked about the small scale and large scale farmers at the same time, but still we would want to understand more on who is eligible. If I turn up at the bank as a financial advisor, you can tell us on what exactly banks are looking out for if somebody needs to access these funds.
Sure. Thank you very much, Mabel. So as elaborated by my colleague, Margaret, the fund ideally targets agriculture projects, focusing mainly on commercialization, modernization, and value addition of raw outputs, and of course, facilitating grain trade, because grain trade is one of the key components of our agriculture sector. As a country, we have a competitive advantage in the agriculture sector because we're mainly an agrarian economy, and the majority of our people are involved in some sort of farming. So the eligibility criteria is, people or entities that are engaged in acquisition of agricultural machinery or equipment, if that is what you want to engage, what you want to do, that's one of the areas that is looked at by the participating financial institutions. Post-harvest handling, the biggest losses in the agriculture sector are happening at post-harvest handling. There's now even legislation for some of the crops if they're handled poorly in order to enhance quality. So the fund comes into handy to try and support such sectors as well. So if you're involved with that, you'll be eligible as well. Storage facilities, you see the massive silos that are coming up across the country to store the grain and all that. That's part of the stuff, part of the things that really look at. There's land opening and paddocking as well for those who are in the livestock. If that's what you're involved with, that's part of the eligibility criteria. And the institutions that are participating in this fund will be very happy to support you. Irrigation, we have a few dry spells in this country. And many times all our farmers are looking to the rains to come. We've been lucky with the rains now. Sometimes we're not lucky with the rains. And you've seen the drive towards irrigation by the various government entities. So the fund as well would support people who are investing in irrigation facilities for the crop or for the agriculture sector. And there's also agro-processing facilities, machinery and equipment. The fund also helps with working capital. If you're looking for machinery installations, hire of specialized machinery, those are some of the areas that the fund looks at. And all this is to try and support the vision of ideally commercialization and modernization of the sector. Well,
so right now, if you're looking for financing, this is your moment to find out where, Margaret, all this information about the agriculture facility fund is and how one can actually apply for it.
Okay, the information is readily available in all participating financial institutions that have signed up for the scheme. In addition to that, it is readily available online. If you just check online, Bank of Uganda Agricultural Credit Facility, the information is right there. For one to be able to apply for this facility, the client is required to forward the application to the participating financial institution, who will then advise the terms under the ACF scheme. A detailed bankable project is required, but that definitely comes with the guidance of the participating financial institutions. As Absa Bank, where I work, we do have 39 branches across the country. A client can approach any of the Absa Bank branches, apply for the facility, and we have a technically equipped team. Those are the agriculture specialists who will work hand in hand with the different colleagues across the Absa branches to be able to guide and assess the agriculture facility. That is basically how we can finance, and I've just given a classic example of how Absa Bank does it. Thank you.
Okay, well, most of the time, as we're trying to achieve the local contents surrounding the Uganda oil development phase, people are thinking, are the possibilities only to do with loans when it comes to how Ugandans can actually be helped to achieve these, or there are other ways banks can actually be able to help?
Yeah, thank you, Mabel, for this. Besides loans, banks and financial institutions support various players in many ways. And I would like to link this to what the banks really look forward to, or what is it that is considered when you want to access a facility or services of a bank, for instance. Some of the things that they look at, or that we look at, are issues like governance. Are you a registered entity? Is it a community-based entity? And what's the governance structures around it? Are there some separation of roles, or is it just a loose organization? And any of the financing or participating agencies, or the banks and MDIs, which are the micro deposit taking institutions, should be able to guide you into how you can, and how this can be remedied. The other thing is record keeping. Do you keep records for your enterprise? And who does that? Is there a separation of powers in that? Or is there an independent look into what you're doing? And then also the performance. How have you performed previously? And what are your projections? What are you looking at? I know it's very difficult to project, but look, if you link it to the oil and gas sector, there's going to be enormous contracts and projects. The number of people who will be working in the industry are many, and there's a lot. Agriculture is the lifeline, because you have to feed them, and in a way that comes out of the agriculture. So what are you as a farmer looking at? What's your competitive advantage? What is it that you want to do in that field? So the banks will be looking at that in getting this. But what's more is that beyond banks, beyond loans, banks actually support in various ways. A very good number of the participating banks who are members of the chamber, as well as participating in the ACF, have set out capacity building mechanisms. You've heard about the small and micro enterprise academies. All these have come through as a support from the financial institutions to grow the capacity of the entities. And the things I've spoken about governance, about finance and bookkeeping, and about all the compliance that you require, the character of an understanding. And now we have the Credit Reference Bureau to look, how have you performed at the previous borrowings that you've had, either as an enterprise or as an individual? All these are coming through the supporting trainings and the academies. We have the Absa SME Academy, we have a Stanbic, Orient Bank, and many of those participating entities. All this is meant to support the players in the local content space to try and gain the capacity that is required to make their projects bankable, and also to grow their enterprises as well. Okay. It's very important for us as Ugandans to embrace this. There's legislation to this. Oil is a finite resource. After 30 or so years, it will be gone. But agriculture is the lifeline of our economy, and it has to continue. So it's an opportunity for us, and it will be great honor to see many Ugandan enterprises embrace this, take on these facilities, and embrace all these kind of capacity buildings to make the entities bankable and of going concern.
Okay, so maybe for more encouragement to Ugandans, is the facility already registered beneficiaries to be more believable anyway? And also, how long is it going to run?
Okay, as for the Bank of Uganda records, 30th of September 2020, there are 991 beneficiaries that have benefited from the scheme across all participating financial institutions. And this, in terms of value, is equivalent to 618 billion shillings has been advanced out there to support the agriculture sector. So I think that is one of the key government contributions that we've seen, and I think we can still do more with the support that is coming in from oil and gas. How long has this project been running? The ACF, or the Agricultural Credit Facility Scheme, as I said, started in October 2009. It has literally run for 11 years. There is no defined expiry period. We'll continue, participating financial institutions will continue enhancing or advancing credit through the Agricultural Credit Facility Scheme, provided government continues to support. And one of the things that we're looking at, with the oil and gas coming in, that will then enhance the revenues that are coming to government, and being a key contributor, agriculture being a key contributor, the government of Uganda will definitely enhance the support. So we see this project continuing to exist, and therefore we want to encourage farmers out there, we want to encourage all the agri-processors out there, please come, go to any of the participating financial institutions of your own and apply for these funds. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, the next development phase has emphasized the contract values and, of course, the legally reserved benefits in terms of local content for Ugandans. But at the same time, there have been worries of competitiveness. Are Ugandans ready to compete? For example, let's say with the foreign expatriates, when we're talking about these contract values, do we have as a country enough support to be able to compete?
Yeah, thank you. The financial sector in the country is quite stable, very well regulated, and in my mind, quite prepared to support, most especially and for the subject matter today, the local content. We have a robust banking sector, for instance, across all layers, from the tier 1 banks through to the MDIs, that are very well adequately capitalized, and very, very sound regulatory environment as well in which we operate. So local players should be rest assured that there is support in country to support them in that. Schemes such as the Agriculture Credit Fund, which are bringing some of the cost of borrowing down, and then also the kind of enhancements that the entities get. Because look, banks manage risk because they lend out depositors' money. So the less risky you are, the more competitive you become, and the more organized you are. The sector is very sound. And besides that, the banks have mechanisms in country on how to raise some of this financing. So for the local content players, if you look at the earlier stage, the exploration stage, a few of the players in that place were able to benefit from the available financial resources. I'm pretty confident that the mechanism, the regulatory environment, which is very open for us, the liberalized economy as it is, provides enormous opportunities for the large contracts that are said to be coming in the sector. And it will be very exciting to see how Ugandans embrace this resource and also build on our agriculture, where we have a competitive advantage, to take it to the next level.
I heard you mention Orient, Stanbic, and some other banks. But right now, our viewers could be thinking, well, since we have an Absa Bank person here, probably the agriculture credit facility is only available at Absa Bank. Is that what it is?
No, actually, the agriculture credit facility is available to all participating financial institutions. And as commercial banks, we play a key role in enabling automation and mechanization of agriculture across the country through providing medium and long-term financing. And then, as I mentioned earlier, in addition to the medium and long-term financing to the agro-processors, we also have a keen interest in the small-scale holder farmers. And government has gone ahead to do a block allocation to all participating financial institutions, where a facility up to tune of 20 million shillings unsecured can be enhanced to a small-scale holder farmer. So that, in a nutshell, is helping a lot in supporting the small-scale holder farmers as well. As Absa Bank, we are strongly rooted in the growth and development of agriculture and specifically Uganda. Absa Group is strong and experienced in the agriculture sector, and its key stakeholders are hands-on to provide an in-depth knowledge to the farmers. And our support to the sector has mainly been through provision of credit facilities, and we will continue supporting the sector. And we also do finance different activities across the agriculture value chain. In terms of the commodities, we do not limit. We do look at all the commodities across the value chain, and we have facilities that can also support the small-scale holder farmers, medium-scale holder farmers, and the large-scale, including the traders who are doing commodity finance. So Absa Bank is out there to definitely support the farmers. We are a key contributor in the agriculture sector, and we want to encourage each and every one of you, please come to Absa. But as well, as I mentioned, that even other participating financial institutions are offering agriculture. Please go ahead and apply for these funds. Let's take advantage of the government support. Let's take advantage of the reduced rate. And hopefully, oil and gas will actually make the story more interesting by further enhancing on the amounts that are available, and most importantly, consider a further reduced rate as compared to the conventional rates that we get for the other facilities in the different commercial banks and financial institutions.
Well, the 90 days of oil and mining continue as the sensitization continues to all Ugandans and stakeholders on the sector in the next development phase. The benefits, of course, and many opportunities that do exist for Ugandans. What would be your final remark?
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think this is key. Information is king. And the 90 days of oil and mining and what's going on for up to about 26th November is key information. I would encourage all people to tune in as much as they can to get all this information. The key thing is many times some of our players are afraid, or some of our fellow countrymen are not as informed as they should be. And that's sometimes not a fault of theirs. But opportunities such as this give us an opportunity to explain what's available and to make it accessible to the people. The local content, financing for the local content is one of the key things that we can use to transform our society. It will be a great pleasure to see all the people, or many of the players in the agriculture sector, in previously the untapped primary agriculture sector, who were presumed as very risky, taking advantage of some of the opportunities to provide a service to this enormous industry that is coming to us. We should not be left. We should wake up, as they say these days, and embrace these opportunities and take it on. I'm pretty confident, and it gives us much joy to see the kind of transformation that happens to the smallholder farmer, to the enterprise holders, and to all those people that are putting their effort to harness Mother Nature in the country, to add value, modernize, and take the sector much forward. So we'll look forward to the upcoming series of the 90 days, and hopefully that we can deliver the information to our fellow countrymen to embrace the sector.
Well, we should not be left behind. I'll conclude with you as Head of Agriculture, Absa Bank. 90 days of oil and mining still ongoing. What would be your final say after talking about the agriculture credit facility?
Thank you. I would want to encourage each and every one of us, and each and every one out there that is viewing the show. Let's keep watching the 90 Days of Oil and Mining series. There's a lot of educative programs, there's a lot of awareness programs that will be running. And most importantly, let's get to understand what the oil and gas sector is going to do to our economy. Let's try to appreciate what is going to come, especially when it comes to the revenues that will come to support the different sectors. It's a key economic contributor to the growth and development of our country. And let's not forget, the backbone of Ugandan economy is agriculture. Let's see how the oil and gas sector would definitely enhance the agriculture support. And we want to encourage each and every one of you. The only way to make it in Uganda, and a critical way, is going through agriculture. So I want to encourage each and every one of you, let's take part, let's continue supporting the sector, and let's continue watching the 90-day series. Thank you very much.
Margaret Asekenye, the Head of Agriculture, Absa Bank, and of course Edward Gibson Nangono, the Financing Advisor, Uganda Chamber of Mines and Petroleum Corporate Director, Absa Bank, this morning on the breakfast meeting. Well, we do appreciate you for watching. We'll return shortly. We started off with that particular motivational quote of a dream without ambition is like a car without gas. Not necessarily, because we were also going to talk about cars when we return after a short break. But after an interview like this that is talking about improving our household incomes and looking beyond household incomes, well, if you need a car, maybe it should be a new Ford. Well, after a short break.